Hey there guys, John here. It's been a while since I've done an installment of my video blog, and I thought I've been looking for an excuse to get started again. And I think this issue is a good one to start with. It's an issue I've had to talk about before, going back like 3 or 4 years, and it's kind of coming up again. Now, Zack Snyder has been announced is going to be directing the new Superman movie. And I think most people are excited about that, maybe cautiously excited by some, but overall I think there's a general positive feel about Zack Snyder directing it. I feel good about it, especially after watching what he did visually in that animated film, The Legend of the Guardians. And you may not have loved that movie, but the movie's visually stunning. And I think he's going to bring something new to the table. I think that's really cool. But it brings up again the whole question about casting. Who's going to be Superman? And we went through this before a few years ago, of course, with Superman Returns. And I'm pretty well known in my praise for the job that Brandon Routh did in that film. Look, whether you liked or hated Superman Returns, I happen to have loved it, but at the same time, I acknowledge the weaknesses in it, and I can understand why some people wouldn't like it, really. I mean, there are things about that movie that drive me crazy, but overall, I thought it was a very human, character-centric story as opposed to the action comic book film that we've probably wanted to see with it, but I still thought it was great for what it was. Being that as it may, I think you have to acknowledge that Brandon Routh was a terrific Superman, even if you didn't like the movie. I thought he was brilliant. I really do. I thought he was flat out brilliant. But we went through this whole casting thing before. And when we were going through the casting for Superman Returns, there was a huge push out there. Maybe it wasn't huge, but it was vocal, of people who wanted to see Tom Welling, the guy from Smallville, to play Superman. I had my objections about that, even though I'm a big Smallville fan. It is one of the only 2 or 3 shows that I actually watch regularly. I think it sucked this season so far, but that's besides the point. I watch that show regularly, and I only do that with a few shows. So I am not some Tom Welling basher. I am not some Smallville hater. I'm quite the opposite. I'm a Tom Welling fan. I'm a Smallville fan. Now, be that as it may, Tom Welling, there is no way in hell that Tom Welling should be Superman. And the reasons that is now are the same reasons that it was a few years ago, only more so now. And my main thing is this. Smallville is not Superman. It's not. It doesn't even look like Superman. It's not remotely similar to who and what Superman is. That doesn't mean it's not good. Smallville is great for what it is, but let's call it what it is. It is a pseudo CW kitty teeny bopper version or interpretation or reimagining of a Superman character in a very distinct and different world and universe and storyline and mythology from who we know as Superman. They're two totally different things. They're built upon the same concept and character, but they are two completely different things. To have Tom Welling play Superman in a Superman film means you are abandoning the idea of doing a Superman film, and what you're really doing is a Smallville the movie. I'm not opposed to a Smallville the movie somewhere down the line. I'm not talking negatively on it. All I'm saying is, as a fan of Superman, as a fan of Smallville, you have to acknowledge they're two completely different things. You may call them both Kal-El, you may call them both Sons of Krypton, but the similarities end there. They're different things altogether, all right? And so, you see, my big objection with even the concept of Tom Welling playing Superman is simply the fact that it would then be Smallville the movie. It's not Superman. Plain and simple. That's all there is to it. I think there's lots of great actors out there who could be Superman. I think relative unknowns. I put up a list on AMC the other day listing some people. I think Zachary Levi from Chuck could be a very interesting Superman. I think Jared Padalecki from Supernatural could be a very interesting Superman. I think Armie Hammer from The Social Network it would be, he plays the twins. I think he'd be a really interesting choice. Or a complete unknown. Or somebody else. Whatever. I think there's lots of people who could play Superman. It just shouldn't be Tom Welling, because at this point, I want a Superman movie. I don't want a Smallville, the movie. Although, that could be interesting somewhere down the line. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on this topic. You can agree or disagree. Leave them in the comments. Other than that, talk to you later.